Hey everybody, good afternoon and welcome to PHS Talks. Once again, Cassie and the team, thank you so much for inviting me to come along and share some of my knowledge. Limited though it may be, I have a lot of experience. So I've put together some things today for you on content planning for the buyer journey. And when I originally said to Cassie, this is what I'm calling it, she's going, yes, but what does that mean? So the whole idea around this presentation is teaching you how to get your customers' attention and keep it. And if I give you a bit of introduction by myself, I'm down in St. Francis Bay in the Eastern Cape of South Africa. I'm about 6 hours up the coast from Cape Town. We've been living here for about a year. Most of the time I've lived in Botswana or in England or in Johannesburg. I have about 30 years of work experience, makes me sound really old. I'm an accountant and auditor by profession, but very creative, and moved into marketing about 18 years ago. It kind of was a natural progression, even though don't ask me how, into marketing. And I'm really, really passionate about education space and empowering entrepreneurs. So #training is really my passion project to give back, other than Dragon Consulting, which is our marketing agency. So I love doing talks like this and helping new business owners and small business owners really kind of understand a lot of the complex terminology that gets bandied about in marketing. So marketing is supposed to be the fun side of your business. It's not meant to stress you out. It really should help you be creative and actually really start to get to know your customers. So I've put this together for you today and let me go through. I will give you plenty of places to pause, but as I said, Megan and Adam will be watching the chat. So anything you think about, pop it into the chat. We'll make sure that we circle back to it at the end. I always stress when people are listening to presentations that they think of a question and then they're not listening after the question until it gets answered. And also, please don't furiously write notes. I've given a copy of the presentation. It is quite content heavy. Purely not an ideal presentation, but it's really good for handouts after the event, and Cassie will email you guys a copy. So rather just focus on what I'm saying and ask your questions and you'll get a copy of the notes afterwards. Okay, so let's go. So most important thing you need to understand is understanding your buyer's journey in marketing. So you always end up in a position where your buyer fits your ideal clients, but they're either unaware of the product or they don't even know that they need it. And there's some sort of triggering an event that changes their situation and highlights their problem or their pain point that they need to get solved. And that's where they start out. And that's what you need to understand when you start your marketing. There's 3 stages to a buyer's journey: your awareness stage, your consideration stage, and your decision stage. And the types of marketing and content that you should be putting out in these different stages is completely different. So if you're constantly doing awareness marketing, once people are aware of you, if you're not educating them more and overcoming those objections in your marketing and then reinforcing the fact that they've made the right decision, you're actually going to lose them. And someone else who's marketing across all different types of content that are targeted specifically at where those people are in their journey, then you're going to lose them to the competition. So I do talk a lot about buyers and products, but remember, this is exactly the same. Your buyer is your guest or your event planner or anybody's travel agents that are organizing for accommodation, and your product is the service and the place that you have. I apologize for a bit of a croak in my voice at the moment. Okay, so awareness stage. The buyer's experiencing a problem or a pain, and the goal is to alleviate it. They're looking for information and resources, and they want to more clearly understand and frame and give a name to their problem. Sometimes it's just a niggling irritation until you pop up on their screen or in their social media or in your other forms of marketing. They're not really aware that there is a solution to the problem, or they're not really aware that there is a name for this problem. They want to clearly understand and frame, and once they've done that, they are going to start looking and researching. So they're not even thinking about solutions, and they're not even thinking about picking anybody yet. And this is what's important. You need to know when to educate people and when to sell. You cannot sell. Although my clients in the US and Canada will tell you you can. Hard sell doesn't particularly work specifically in your UK environment or in South Africa, where we really like being told what to do. So what you want to do in the awareness stage is to show up, establish some authority, and build trust. Once you get to the consideration stage, the buyer has clearly defined the problem they have. They've committed to researching and understanding all the available problems and solutions. And with you, it could be the different types of accommodation, the different facilities they need, the different events and things they are to do and experiences while they're there. And they want to start evaluating all the solutions, be that their holiday, their event, or just travel for business. So here you want to consider your direct and your indirect competitors, and you want to educate the buyer on the pros and cons. So if you're not sure about direct and indirect competitors, direct competition would be, say, Coke and Pepsi. Indirect competition would be, say, Coke and fruit juice. They're both going to solve the problem of being thirsty, but they will appeal to very different audiences. And people might not think of it as competition, but it might be an alternative. So a big fancy hotel or a cruise liner could be a competition for an indirect competition for you that are in the private house stay market. And you want to educate the buyers on the pros and cons without flagging off the competition. I don't know about you guys, but here in South Africa, competitive advertising is illegal. It's not like America where you can just flag off the competition and tell them how awesome you are. In the decision stage, they've already decided on what their solution is and how they're going to approach it. And their goal now is to get a list of available providers, make a short list, make a decision. And they'll go with the provider they like, they know, and they trust. And as long as you meet the needs, it's more important that they like you and trust you than it is that you deliver something that is cheaper or different or whatever. They must learn to like, know, and trust you. Okay, so this is the importance of creating content for the whole journey. You need to understand how they think. You need to give them the answers they're looking for. You need to understand the path they take to make those decisions and where they are in the buying journey and where they get the information. That's absolutely critical. You need to understand your customer avatar, even though it sounds a little unfriendly. You need to get in the mind of your audience and you need to understand where they get the information. If you are looking for people to do holidays and you are going mad, crazy ads on LinkedIn, you might catch the odd person that's doing a holiday, but you're more than likely to catch them on a different form of either email or social media marketing or any other kind of advertising. Whereas if you're wanting to do something specifically for business travel, you're probably better off being on LinkedIn. So you need to understand, do they go to events? Do they go to travel exhibitions? Do they go to private house stays websites or competitor type websites? But you need to understand where they get the information. And you must relate to them. So it's particularly important that people need to see themselves in your marketing. So you don't want to be specifically for one thing, but you do want to go off over one type of clients at a time. So if your little business can deal with a whole number of different customers, business and holiday, the kinds you wouldn't kind of market all of them at the same time in the same marketing. You need to have pictures that will catch that attention. Remember, pictures are only to stop people from scrolling. They're not brochures. Okay, so quick recap. Awareness stage, they look for their answers, they resource, their education, they research, and they look for opinions and insights. In the consideration, they really dive into whether you're a good fit for them. And in the decision, they figure out exactly what it would take to make them become a customer. So I'm going to just pause here. Are there any questions as far as this goes? I know I do have a habit of speaking really quickly. All good? Perfect. Okay, so now I'm going to take you through the ideal channels for the different stages and give you some examples of the same. The ideal content and channels for the awareness stage is blogging, search engine marketing, and social media marketing. That could be Google ads, it could be having the blog specifically on a blog page or a web page or an industry page, anything like that, and social media marketing. It's a really good way of getting people's awareness out there. The difficulty is if nobody knows you exist, they're not looking for you. So something like Google ads, for example, would be great if they're looking for you specifically, but you really need to have good search engine optimization. And that can be incredibly expensive, painful exercise for smaller businesses. So social media marketing is often a far more effective way to pop up and someone goes, actually, that looks like a nice idea. Let me try that, specifically in the travel and tourism side of things. The content formats for this stage, you can do blog posts, social media posts, you can write a white paper on specific destinations and specific ways of travel. Checklists, people love checklists. If you want to grow your database, you can do a free download on your website or on your social media post where you capture, remember, email addresses are gold, capture name and email address, and then you can actually give them a freebie that they will want. And people love giving you the email addresses for freebies. How-to videos, those work wonderful, and it could be something as simple and symbiotic with your industry as how to pack your suitcase, what kind of clothes you need, what kind of footwear you need, what's the weather like, are there bugs if you're my side of the world, giving them a kit or a tool, writing an ebook, giving them a tip sheet, or doing an educational webinar. And that could be showcasing your business, giving people a walk through your establishment, introducing the team. There's so many wonderful things that you can do from that perspective. But I say, you need to understand where they're getting the information and where you're going to get that attention. On the consideration stage, websites and blogging are great. Search engine marketing also works. Email marketing works wonderfully because they're already aware of you and you can actually give them nice information and they're sitting and they will read those emails. As long as they're valuable and you're not talking for the sake of talking, you're actually adding value with your communication, and of course, social media. Formats, product comparison guides, those work wonderfully. Case studies and free samples if you have a product. It could be a promo code, it could be a discount voucher, it could be a free breakfast voucher, anything like that. Just things that where people can actually compare. For any of you who ever had to buy a car or insurance and you want to kind of compare everything, having your products and or even your different rooms or the different places that are available side by side, so people can go, these are all the things I want, it's here, this doesn't have it, this does. It helps people make the choice easier, particularly if you're the best and you're the best fit. The ideal channels for the decision stage are your website. Now, the important thing with a website is to understand your user experience. I'm going to expand a little bit on the website. Websites can be an expensive investment for people, and that's why you do have places like PHS, which is a wonderful place to keep your business. The website needs to showcase the business, it needs to educate the client, it needs to build trust, and you need to have content on there that keeps people coming back for more. You want to be the go-to place to find out about things. Email marketing also works incredibly well. With email marketing, you want to understand what are you communicating, what is the sequence, what are the distances between it. And live chats and chatbots are absolutely awesome for service. And a lot of people say, they want to talk with real people. And I can promise you, if somebody is sitting, scrolling, looking for holiday at 2 o'clock in the morning, if they can at least get the basics of the information that they need before reaching out to you, you've really, really educated those people, and it will make a huge, huge difference to them. So your marketing goal in the decision stage is to go above and beyond what people expect and give them the absolute, the most amazing, easy and frictionless customer experience so you can win them over from the competitors. I can give you an example. There's a local vet down here, and so many of the people in the village actually drive to the nearest town, which is 20 minutes away, because of the receptionist. So it could be as simple as who's answering your phone and what is that experience when they first pick up the phone to check how you're doing. Handling objections is something I'll chat with you in a minute. What you want to do is you want to, in your marketing and communications, overcome those objections before they even raise them, because it means that you have an opportunity to get straight in their mind that it isn't actually a real objection, and it doesn't have to put you on the defensive sometimes when people start saying, oh, but you don't have this and you don't have that, and what about this? This is better. You want to remove any hesitation. So you want to constantly reinforce that they've actually made the right decision. And by doing that, you position yourself ahead of the competition. Okay, content formats for the awareness stage. Free trials are great, live demos, consultation offers, or coupons. For you guys, live demos could be walkthroughs, could be countryside videos, things to do, vouchers from places in and around the places that they're going to visit. partnering up with other people that are around in your area works wonders. I have a client here in Johannesburg that's actually a printing company, and he's teamed up with the local coffee shop. So when you're waiting to have your printing done, you get a voucher and you can pop across to the coffee shop. And what invariably happens is nobody just goes and buys a coffee because they've got to wait 10 or 15 minutes for their printing. So it sales up the sales in the local coffee shop, and it builds a sense of community, which I think all of you are really well positioned to do. Consultation offer could be if someone is traveling and they're going to be spending a lot of money. And I know South Africans and the US market are absolutely obsessed with Scotland. So being over in Scotland, they might want to understand what do they need to do, what's the best route to get there, what are the different places that you can go to. And it becomes a great way to actually add value. Even though their first point of content is booking at your establishment, you could actually really, really stick in their minds by making it an amazing experience and helping them with their whole journey. Obviously, it needs to be cost benefit. You don't want to go and spend hours and hours helping someone that is just staying with you for a few nights. But there's so many different resources and partnerships that you guys could put together that would actually help the clients in that awareness stage. And obviously, coupons and codes, people love freebies, always a great thing to do. Okay. Before we get onto the chat and the discussion, you all need to understand that you all have unique buyer's journey and you can't necessarily replicate it from one business to another. So you need to understand your people. And when you're creating your buyer's journey, you must understand your audience, develop a strategy that basically you have custom content for each page of the journey for each type of customer that you have. And if you do it well, it will have an absolute significant impact on your customer relationships, and it will lift all your overall conversions. So that's all the theory. And I'm going to stop sharing so I can see your faces again. It's very disconcerting talking when I can't see anybody. There we go. And you're all still awake. That's awesome. So there's just a couple of things that I'd like to get you guys to think about when you're putting all of this together, is whenever you're putting together a marketing strategy for your business, you always need to have two strategies. You need to have a goal for your business, and you need to understand what your customer goal is. And even if you have 3 or 4 different types of customers, those 3 or 4 different types of customers will need to be marketed to differently. They all have different goals, and Juliet's smiling because she in the corner I could see, and Laura will know this because she also does social media marketing on that side. Every single thing as a business that you want to achieve is you've got a goal. So if you want to grow your business, or you want to grow your occupancy rates to say at least 60% during the off season, I would think fairly optimistic, but if you want to do that, then you need to understand what is the problem that your business has and what is the solution. And once you understand what the problem is that's getting in the way of you reaching your business goals, then you come up with a solution to your business side of stuff. Then when you go across to the marketing, you need to understand what is the goal of your clients. Now, people always giggle at me, but if there's a whole lot of different phases that drive people's decision-making over the generations, and yes, absolutely a generalization, but it will help you when you're doing your marketing. So in teens and 20s, people tend to focus, especially teens, everything's driven by social. It's where's the next party, where's the next fun, what can we be up to? And that's the kinds of things that that excitement would drive their decision making. In 20s, people tend to focus a lot more on vocational. So what are they doing with their career? Are they studying? Are they working? What are they doing next? Once they get to their 30s, it becomes more around familial decision making. And if you go back probably to when Cassie and I were younger, it's probably moved about a whole 10 years later than my kids, for example. The familial stage always was 20s, and now it's actually leapt into 30s, where people start to make decisions around family and building a family, no matter what shape or form that takes, but they start to have other considerations when they're making decisions. The one thing you need to understand is when you are marketing to people in their 40s, it's the first time you strategically need to market differently to men and women. And it'll be a giggle. Women tend to now have kids at a point that are either old enough to be relatively independent or like mine, out the house and doing their own thing. So they tend to focus more on self-care, looking after themselves, and actually for once being a little selfish with their decision making. And men tend to be driven by physical side of stuff, and they do things like buy a motorbike, have a midlife crisis, go to the gym, but they suddenly become very aware that they're not 20 anymore, but they think they are. So you do tend to market slightly differently. I'm just laughing in the corner there, but it really, really does affect their buying decisions, specifically on holidays. You need to understand how you would market those kind of things, or even for business travel. There's very different requirements. Once people get to their 50s, people start to focus more on their financial goals. So finances does become a driving factor in decision making. In 60s, people start to look at things like not immortal. They might have parents passing away or their odd friends. So they start to think a little bit more deeply, and that sort of stuff will drive their decision making, much like a lot of the mindsets in marketing during COVID. Everybody was, oh, well, you know, it's a pandemic, so you only live once, let's go for it. And once people get into their 70s, it does revert back to familial. People are either living with their children, being taken care of their children, or acting as a caregiver for grandchildren. Specifically, obviously here in South Africa, we do have a huge amount of grandparent-headed households. So those are just some very broad generalizations, I know, of brushstrokes to consider the kinds of imagery. If you're marketing awesome Contiki tour type adventure, if you put people 50s and 60s, my age, you go and put people like that into your photographs, you're not going to attract the kind of people you want to attract. People want to see themselves in your marketing. If you're going to market in a South African market, for example, if you wanted to get people to travel over to you guys over there, you need to understand they need to see themselves. And one thing I will tell you, and it's probably we're more sensitive to it here in South Africa, or more aware of it, is make sure you don't use Afro-Caribbean faces if you're trying to market to South African Black audience, because there's a very different, people want to see the reflection and are hypersensitive to that. It is very important. If you're wanting to, and I see Abida's in the corner, if you do want to market, for example, to Muslim families, you need to make aware of, do you have permission for those photographs? If it's a more conservative, should you have women in your photographs? Are those respectful? Do they abide by the rules? So there's all sorts, sorry, Abida, I'm only picking on you because you're in the corner, but these are the things you need to be mindful of. People want to know that you understand who they are, you get what their concerns are, and you have respect for their particular traditions, religions, way of life, all that kind of thing. So I've gone a little bit more general into that. When you come to looking at the goals, so let's pick a specific example. If you've got a client and their goal is to have their 25th anniversary trip for their anniversary, you need to understand what is the problem and where do they want to go. And that you need to understand, who are you marketing to? Are you a budget destination? Are you a very high-end experience? And what are the kinds of images you've got to use? What kinds of things would drive those decisions? What do they want to do? They might not want to go running around on hikes in the highlands. They might actually just want to have an awesome, beautiful, beautiful bedroom, cozy experience, fireplace. See, those are the kind of things you need to do. And I'm speaking very generally because I know you're all not specifically, but from a travel perspective, can you see how important it is to make sure that you're reflecting and you're almost overcoming all those objections in your pictures, in the content, in the kinds of stuff that you're putting out there. So I'm going to be quiet for 5 minutes so people can ask some questions. I know I saw someone popped into the chat, what is a white paper? Normally a white paper is something that you would write, I'm not going to say particularly an opinion piece, but a white paper tends to have a lot of information on a more research type of base, lots of information, lots of technical backup stuff. It's not a blog. Blogs tend to be more opinions, more fluffy, whereas white paper does tend to be more serious. I would think white papers in the travel industry, it could be statistics on the safety of a destination, it could be visa requirements, it could be who can come and go, how long you can stay. Those kind of things would be interesting to put onto a white paper. Does that answer the question?
Thank you.
Perfect. Any other questions? Because I know I was chatting a lot and it was a lot of information.
I've got a question.
Yes, Cass?
And Megan will be rapping my knuckles because she has been suggesting we have a live chat on our website. Do you have one on your website, Michelle?
Our new website actually will launch in Feb. There's two options. So a live chat, we've got one for a client in Dublin, educational institution, which is a live chat. And it's actually a live chat with one of the actual team. It's not a chat bot. Live chats do work incredibly well, but they only work as well as your team is dedicated. So you need to make sure there's a clear handover of whose responsibility it is to be on the chat. You need to understand what is the setup behind the scenes for out of office hours or emergencies and things like that. So there's two different ways. You can have an information chatbot. You can have one that is a decision tree. We have created one for a mat company in the UK, and their chatbot has actually replaced the entire call center, which was costing them about €22,000 a year. And we've replaced that with a chatbot that has natural language programming built into it. So it doesn't matter what you ask it, it will try and figure out what you're saying. You don't have to select from a list of things. So there's a lots of different ways of doing it. If you guys wanted to learn more about chatbots and how those things work, I can always get Rob and strong arm him, my business partner, my husband in the business. He focuses on the technical side and he builds all that sort of stuff, also with the AI. Live chats are great as long as you remember they're there.
What happens? I mean, obviously, people, as you say, people who are looking to travel to Scotland, might be, searching in the middle of the night, and we're all in bed. What do we do about that? There's
two options. They can either send an email, they can leave their contact details, but then you guys must just make sure that who's responsible for following up on those that are out of areas. Or you could then take them from there. So if they have specific things, it's out of office at the moment, how about, read this blog or go check out this, or, give them something to do to keep them interested and build trust. But you would need to let them leave their contact details and then make sure someone gets back to them. The difficulty it has, especially, and I would think with Scotland, I know American audiences are huge. I know I have a client in Vancouver, and that 9-hour time difference can be quite a challenge. So you might need to then expand from PHS's side the length of the workday, or even shift it that one's online really, really early. And it's not like you've got to be online 24/7. You just need to be there that if it pings, you can jump on and answer and make sure there's a clear handover. There's quite a few solutions for doing live chats. There is a really cool one. I'll send you some information on the one we've used for Unihaven, where people actually pop on and use it. And that worked quite well on their previous site. So and you could actually see who was online, who was answering, and you could delegate that live chat to whoever needed to be answering them at the time. You could see Adam's nodding. He's probably a techie like my husband.
Yeah,
Yes,
he's a problem solver, Adam.
Yes. But chatbots are not irritating if they are built well. So there's a lot of sophisticated way of building it. It doesn't have to be a straightforward decision tree. Do you want to do A or B? And then you go and pick A and it says you want X or Y. There's a lot of really intelligent ways of building chatbots that work wonderfully. We've built a chatbot. I'll actually send you guys the link for it. One of my clients here in Johannesburg in Northcliffe has a B&B, and she's got a chatbot. And her chatbot, even her customers, instead of giving them a folder with all the local stuff on, her customers, and it'll go on and say restaurants in the area and ask you what type of restaurant you want to go, and then you can click on it and go straight through to the Google page to actually make a reservation. And what means is she doesn't get weird and wonderful phone calls and bothered at home when she has clients there, because all that, the local activities, the nearest hospital, all that kind of stuff, they can just log onto the website and look at it through a chatbot. So it can be expensive to implement well. I'm sure Adam could probably learn how to do it. It's a question of having someone who systematically is good on the tech side to do it, but it can save you a lot. It means your stuff is always up to date. and you don't need to worry about whatever printed materials and stuff you've got in the room. But then, and what she has is on the sticker on the door when they're welcome, she's got a QR code, and people scan the QR code and go straight into the chat bot. So they don't even have to go to the website, they can go straight to it from their cell phones. So there are definitely lots of nice solutions specifically in hospitality.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, I'd love to see that. I'm sure Abida and Laura would like to have a look at that as well. And Juliet,
Absolutely.
you know. So, well, thank you for answering that. Any more questions, Juliet or Abida or Veronica, Laura? None?
All good.
Okay.
Laura,
well,
have you got anything to add? Because you do what I do. Maybe not the trading side, but
No, I mean, it's all useful and actually good to a refresher to remind us about the separate parts and making sure, because it's so, I find it so easy, and especially find, because I work with really small businesses, they get so easy for them as the owners to get really lost and caught up in different parts of the business, and trying to get your focus back to, okay, who's your audience, what's their goal, what part of the journey are they in, and what's your sort of funnel to get them to a sale, whatever that might be. And keeping it really clear, I find helps so much. I just quite often go back to my plan that I've created for the business, just even looking at the pillars that I've created for their social media, just so you don't get lost. So it's good to just sort of have a reminder. But you mentioned about the emails. It'd be good to hear what you thought about what email systems that you use.
We use MailerLite mainly for the reason that you have full functionality other than white labeling to 1,000 subscribers, which means that for our smaller clients, it's really affordable. For the bigger clients, the integration with all the other tools and stuff that are there, it works incredibly well. So even from the webs, even running our Facebook and Google lead ads, getting it from the Google Sheets integration all the way through into the database as people sign up, so that it ticks everything off. The biggest thing for us was security, GDPR compliance, specifically for our big clients that are in the UK. And then in South Africa, we've got the Protection of Personal Information Act, which has only recently come in, and although it was their database was hacked, the actual
ironic.
The actual department that looks after the POPI Act was hacked in South Africa, which is actually quite funny. Well, not funny, it's sad, I guess, but yeah, it was hacked. But that's what we use. The other thing is it's also, it was one of the top rated ones, but the nice thing, as Cassie said about hers, is if you do want something that's customizable and totally different, it has a lot of flexibility. You can do newsletters, emailers, you can build landing pages, all of that kind of thing, drag and drop, your typical drag and drop kind of builder. It is, even I managed to use it, and I'm not very patient when it comes to tech side of stuff. The critical side of us is the database management, much like MailChimp. If someone unsubscribed, it won't allow you to re-add them even manually, and it's safe from a two-factor authentication and that kind of thing. So that's the choice we have. The biggest thing is they also have affiliate programs. So if you wanted to have it and then get your clients to sign up with it, you then make money on the affiliate program. It's also only $18 a month at the next tier up, which is very affordable to then brand it and do everything yourself.
Yeah, I might look at that, because like we were saying earlier, MailChimp sort of, when
MailChimp
I use my own business,
spam filtered horribly.
Yeah, it's a shame, because it's quite easy to use. But yeah, I'm gonna have a look at MailerLite.
Cassie's going to tell us about another one too after this.
Yeah, no.
So
Well, it's worth looking at both of them, and
definitely having a look as to how it works. Any other questions? Any other else in the chat? All good. Perfect. Okay, so I've sent Cassie a copy of the presentation, so all the notes are in there. You've got it. She'll give you my LinkedIn connection. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Laura, I'd love to get together and chat, because we do have a lot of clients in the UK on the social media side, so it's always good to to have others in the team. So that would be really, really cool.
That would be great. Yeah, so always good to bounce ideas off people as well.
That would be really, really cool.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you learned a thing or two. Hopefully I got Adam excited about chatbots, but I will organize to send you some examples that we've got so that Rob can, and even if you did want to have a chat to him about doing something like that, you can certainly assist. Perfect. Cassie, I'm going to hand back to you.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. So let me just change the view. Now let me do this and see whether I can work. Oh no, I haven't. I've done that wrong. Adam, maybe you can help.
What is it you're trying to do?
I'm going to put Michelle back on speaker view. How do I make myself?
Right click on your name and then spotlight.
Okay. Oh gosh. Right.
There you go.
Try and work this out. Hang on.
There we go.
Have you done it?
Yep.
Okay, right. Then I'm going to share my screen and just talk to you a little bit about what we do here. Oh no, I've got to go back to the beginning. Sorry. Oh God. Here we go. Let's go back. That's the end. Sorry. There we go. So Anna's put together these. Anna Eaton does a lot of our social media. She's sadly not here today, but she's put together these slides. We have been learning lots about social media, and it's a minefield really, but this is what we've learned that we felt we'd like to share with you. Really with regard to winning the algorithm, as you'll probably all know, Instagram has changed massively in the last 6 months, and we sort of sat at 3,000 followers and we just didn't move for ages. And we've learned that actually it's Reels that are really gaining traction at the moment. I don't know whether Michelle and Laura will agree, but certainly since we've been posting regularly with little Reels, we're getting more followers, which is exciting because it's been a tricky time recently. So we try and post once a day, but for a smaller business, I'd try and regularly post 3 times a week. And I think what some businesses forget is that they're just so immersed in their business that they forget about why people come to Scotland or Britain or wherever, and that's really to see it. So what you need to be doing is sharing other people's posts and interacting with your local attractions. Even, you know, share other people's properties. It's, as Michelle has said, it's all about really building trust and collaborating. Collaborating is a huge thing at the moment. Anna, who works with Laura, has done the same destination leadership course I've done, and it's all about collaboration, which will help us all grow. So we use, along with the little Reels, you will add to it some audio if you can, and there's lots of help on YouTube. So I would recommend you go and have a look at YouTube and how to do it, or find a youngster to help you do it. With regard to, and you'll probably all understand search engine optimization, but that's absolutely key in you being found on the web. And it determines who is seeing your content. If someone were to search up Scotland and you had written Scotland in your caption, therefore far more likely to see it. So when we take on new clients, for instance, Juliet sent us all her images, we will have saved each of those images with the name of her property, with the town and with the area. And so we use image SEO as well as meta titles and tags. appealing to a niche while keeping your audience as wild as possible. So if you your subject was Scotland, your niche would be more precise, such as Ayrshire. So for instance, if you were talking about Innerleigh, then you could also talk about Jedburgh and Kelso and all the things that the Scottish Borders has got. And the same in Stirling, you would talk about the Kelpies, and all the full cut wheel, all those major attractions around you to try and hook people in. And then the other thing is obviously finding inspiration in trending posts. I don't do anything myself. This is Anne who does it, so I'm not an expert, and Anna's helped me with these slides, but she uses InShot and CapCut. She said they're very easy to use and they're free. Canva and Photoshop Express are free. So my advice for a small business owner is to, rather than trying to do everything yourself, find somebody local who could do it for you and just pay them a small amount every month, if your budget can withstand that, and get them to promote your area, using all these tools to do it. Sorry, I've got a croaky voice as well. We've included some links here which will help you get going. And as I said, as Michelle said, we'll be sharing all these with you once we're done. So you can contact me and the team here. These are all our emails. And then we're going to go on to Email Octopus. So we have got, we've used Email Octopus now for about 3 years. It's a simple solution, and we send out newsletters, webinar reminders, and emails with specific information. You can build lots of different lists within Email Octopus. So as Michelle was saying, you know, you've got your target market. You could have your wedding market, and you could have your couples market, and you could have your historical market. I mean, segmenting different lists, I think, is a really useful tip that, you know, Michelle has told us. And we've got several different lists. So we've got a client list, and then we've got a prospect list. And then what you can do within that is narrow them down and then see how many people are actually opening the emails. And Megan will monitor who's opening our emails. And then she'll say, right, well, Joanne from Calendar has opened your email 10 times. So that's when it's worth giving them a call and saying, you know, can we help you? You know, are you interested in working with us? That's how we use it. So creating an email is really simple. We just put a couple of screenshots here and how it works. You can also use pre-made templates to make your job easier. This is a client newsletter that we sent out in December. You can see we got 351 opens of that newsletter, 6 unsubscribed, and we had 25 bounces. That can be either a hard bounce or a soft bounce, but then you just need to go in and either remove the hard ones because they're broken, and then if it's a soft bounce, then you can just try and work out why they're not getting to the person. And you can see we've had 1 click, but 35% open rate is very high, so we know we're doing something right. And on the, you can see at the top there, we had a 44% open and 5% click on the December one. So there's lots of tools within Email Octopus that are really useful. And then we've got a few more examples of what email has to offer. So you can add images, you can add web links. There's loads and loads you can do. And then what we've done is we've added a link which we'll pass on to you, you know, once the webinar's finished. What I'm going to stop sharing now and just talk to you more about your clients effectively. Juliet, every person that you've had who's booked with you, have you got their emails? Yeah. Do you mind sharing with us what you do with those emails?
I take them at the start of the booking process as part of their T's and C's, and then I use it to send them information before their visit. You know, the sort of practical stuff like access and things like that. And maybe if they're coming at a really popular time, I'll email them and say, look, you know, you're coming for Hogmanay. If you're thinking about booking for dinner, these are some choices. I mean, I don't bombard them. Some people will only get maybe 1 or 2 emails in advance. They'll all get at least one with all the information, and sometimes a few more. And then I just use it afterwards to confirm receipt of the security deposit, thank them for their stay, and ask them for any feedback or if they'll leave a review. But I don't use those emails to market to them after that.
Okay. So that's where you're missing out, Juliet, because if you send an Abida, I don't know about you, but if you were to send that person who came to stay with you an email wishing them happy Christmas, for instance, they don't go, oh, I remember that place. That was lovely. I'm going to rebook. Or they might pass it on to a friend. So I don't know, Abida, what about you?
We've done a couple of email campaigns in the year. That's what we tend to do. We tend to send out a Christmas message to all of our previous stayed guests. We tend to put them an e-card together and we send it out on our list. And we also maybe, if we're very quiet in February, we send out a special offer in February to all of our clients as well. And just a voucher code. We're not brilliant at it, but it'll be a couple of sequences, you know, just what we've learned. But overwhelmingly, I find the fact is that we're small business owners, we're doing everything, and it's a juggling act. And social media does tend to fall to the bottom of the pile when you've got accounts that are due, and you know, housekeeper that's fallen ill. And
I know. I mean, it is an absolute minefield. But I think, I mean, for instance, I know that I've got 10 years of booking data, and I don't use it. You know, now if I was to send an email to all those people who've booked using private house stays for the last 10 years, I am absolutely certain that we would get return visits. So we've actually got a undergraduate who's going to be doing a course with us. She's going to tell me how to use this data. So I think if you can, Juliet and Abida, if you can start building lists, and the very first thing you do is just start building lists and put them into an email octopus or a mailer light, and then even if you send 2 newsletters out a year, it will really pay dividends. And Veronica, I'd love to say I just need to let you know, Veronica is very sadly we got an email from her saying she's stopping because of the horrid, you know, short-term regulations. So it's lovely to have you here, and I know you'll be feeling very sad. And there is a lot going on. I don't know whether you saw our newsletter yesterday, but there's a crowd justice. I don't know what you call it. They've raised over £100,000 to take on the government, and it's going to continue. And it's fun. I heard about it through Laura's boss, Anna, at the Edinburgh Address. And, you know, the more, even if you can give 20 quid, you know, just a little bit to help us fight these regulations, you know, there could be a U-turn. You know, if we all just give into it, then it's going to be pushed through. But if we fight, and I think there's a real wave of uncertainty in the tourism business, and I don't know what you think, Juliet and Abida, but you know, it is difficult, these new regulations, and very costly, and you know, it's tough for a lot of businesses out there.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to jump in there because I'm not sure I share I'm not sure I share that feeling, I guess, because I actually believe that the licensing is a good thing. I think that the property that we are inviting people to stay and holiday in should be really as safe as we are in our own homes.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there, Juliet. It's just, I totally agree that it's a good thing. And I'm not saying it's not a good thing. I just think for Veronica, why don't you explain to us why you feel you want to stop?
It was all the legislation. I mean, you know, I've been through it all. I've got wads and wads and wads of paper, and I'm just overwhelmed by it. And it's also costing me a lot of money. And I realized that the house has to be safe, and it, you know, it's for all the people coming to stay and everything. And of course, I do that anyway. But I just cannot manage all the things that I've got to pay for anymore. It's just too much.
Yeah. And Veronica lives in a, you know, quite a big house up in Morayshire. So, you know, I mean, we're all very different, aren't we? And we've all got, and, you know, and she's living in an old house. So things like the energy rating and the electricity, you know, I mean, I've got another client just outside of Dundee. It's cost her £2,500 to just do her electricity. I don't know what it's at. I should know the name, but I can't think of it at the moment. But everybody's different. But you know, I just think certainly in Edinburgh, which is why it's been fought in Edinburgh, is that if you live in a tenement block, there's zero chance of you getting planning permission. So there's small. So I don't know if you all understand what a tenement block is, but basically it's a block with maybe 10, 15 flats within it. And some of these people, it's their livelihoods. And I think that's why it's been fought, not necessarily because, you know, but it's difficult. It's difficult. It's difficult. And as you're probably all aware, the legislation is different in every council area in Scotland. So there are 32 different councils all building their own legislation. So it is difficult for, if you're in Bandanoch and Strathspey, you have to get planning permission. Now, applying for planning permission might cost you several £100s, whereas that's not the case in East Lothian and in the borders. So it's a tricky one.
Definitely is, Cassie. We've obviously we're basically in the Stirlingshire and Clackmannanshire Council, and even them two are different. They're different to Falkirk, and all the requirements put on you, yes, they're onerous, and it will depend on your properties, but there doesn't seem to be the exceptions. But I'll be honest with you, talking to the councils, I still think they're feeling their way through all of this.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure. I mean, you know, they haven't been given long to do it. You know, it's uncharted territory, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a little bit unfortunate that, you know, that they've taken just this legislation and just brushed the whole country with it, and people have been doing this business for maybe 15, 20 years, even longer, you know, and now they've got to go for planning permission, they've got a change of use, they've got to do lots of different things, you know, so yeah.
But we'll get through it. I mean, I do say that there was life before Airbnb and Booking.com, because that's when I launched private house stays, and I launched private house stays because I resented paying any money to the online travel agents. And there will be life after this as well, and we will get through it. So Veronica, I feel your pain.
Thank you.
And you know, let's see what happens. No, I mean, there's been a 6-month extension, hasn't there? So, you know, I mean, we'll try and get a few nice reels out and try and get you some lovely clients this summer.
Thank you.
If you can get your property reclassified, Veronica, as an apart hotel, I don't know what type of property you have, but if you can change the class use, you don't need a short-term license. So there are, I don't want to use the word loopholes, but there are gaps in it at the minute. And you mentioned it's a big property. So if you can get the class use change, then you don't actually need to go through the license procedures. Just thought I'd throw it in.
That's fantastic advice, Juliet. I mean, really, because I mean, Juliet's renovating and what it was an old hotel, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it still is until we change the class use, but
fantastic. Well, it's amazing what we can all learn from each other. I'm not too sure what the time is.
It's 14:29.
1:30.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, we've done an hour. There you go. So are there any more questions for, you know? I hope it's been really helpful to you. And Michelle, thank you so much. You're so
Pleasure.
knowledgeable, and it's so kind of you. Come on, and the exciting thing is that Barry, who did our first webinar, wants to come back again as well. And Barry introduced me to Juliet, so you know, he's full of tips, and you know, he's very knowledgeable as well. So I love the fact that we can feel like a little family, and yeah, and Megan and Adam, you know, I so appreciate you and all you do for us at Private House Days. So that's it. So thank you very much, and
Thanks, everyone.
we'll send you the presentations, and look forward to seeing you at the next webinar, probably in the next couple of months.
take care. Thank you.
So, take care.
Bye.
Bye, Abida.
Bye.
Bye, Michelle. Bye.